and only hunger and hunger and hunger. That's the main thing that drives the people. It's the main whip with which you can control all the peoples of the world, all of them. Yes, there's your courage too. Soon we'll go into battle, or bravely we'll go into battle. And so go for the power of the Soviets. Yes, all of this will happen again now. You won't be able to escape it. But there's no point in blaming Putin. You know, to scold him and say he's this or that, blame him for everything. He was ordered and he did it. The banks that they took out their money, how can you blame them? It's their money. Banks have never been for the people. Deposits have never belonged to the people. Do you really think all that money you put in the banks is yours? No, it's their money. You deposited it with them, you gave them your money. It's their money. All banks are private, all of them. Friends, there is still so much for us to think about. It is truly about the unsettling fact that we really don't know ourselves, our own complex lives, or the massive invisible systems that control us. Right now, we simply can't get rid of the overarching system that controls our daily existence. There is currently no force on this earth that could successfully destroy the powerful system that rules over us today. Once, we don't know when, but it wasn't that long ago. Just a couple of 100 years ago, there was a different system, different people, and different sciences, different knowledge. Now we have primitive sciences, primitive knowledge, but we think that this can't be and that now we're so advanced. Yes, of course there is. We have the country of Japan, which gives a little more than everyone else, so that it can live and so it could dictate and impose on the rest of the world what it has, what it was allowed to master. There is such a thing. And many of our people also moved to such a country, Japan. And yes, my uncle lived there. He had 17 geishas. Well, that's what the military say. And that's what he used to tell his military colleagues back in the day. What am I trying to say? Yes, by the way, he was a banker. An English banker. Do you understand? Yes, it's all intelligence services. Soviet ones. The world is united. There are no Soviet, no English ones. A single world. And there is no intelligence service. It's all unified. Only in some department in Israel do good specialists work. And even then, they're half Russian. In the Vatican's intelligence service, there are also Russian specialists. Also good specialists, by the way. Well, as for Swiss intelligence, I won't say anything at all. I don't know. I have a photo somewhere of the three of us standing together, Chernomyrdin, myself, and the Swiss Minister of Defense. There is such a photo, but that was so long ago, my friends. I'm the same age as the Eiffel Tower, so I can tell stories like this. This is my life, these are my little experiences. So, when people tell us that something happened a long time ago and that our world begins, this new world, yes, from the 17th century, that's not true at all. Our world begins at the end of the 19th century. From the end of the 19th century. And the beginning of the world is the beginning of the 20th century. Our world, yours and mine. So, the late 19th and 20th centuries, that's our world, yours and mine. And the fact that we have a system, a banking system, that ties us to itself, and there are so-called people's banks, like Sberbank. Sberbank was never a people's bank. It just never was a people's bank. Who did it answer to? There were 22 who were the members of the Politburo, right? And how many did Hitler have? Also 22. Understand? It's one and the same system. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a good system, well tested. It has proven itself in how people can be deceived and kept under control. They have reins on them, blinders over their eyes, in the form of all sorts of fairy tales. And as for patriotic statements, I think that's a truly unique thing, when they came up with something for people. These kinds of patriotic tales that never actually happened, but people believe in them. We know our history. There was Pavlik Morozov, we know that. And we also know who he really was. Because there was a system for brainwashing. And Pavlik Morozov quite sincerely believed that he was obliged to betray his parents, to report on them that the grain where are they hiding it? They're hiding it in some shed, in a basement. They're hiding grain there. And the country, Russia, needs grain. Everything must be handed over. By the way, there were some official records. Later, all of this was destroyed, but some time ago there were still records about how ships would carry this grain. In some cases, they would just dig it up in the fields. If the fields were far away, they would bury the grain there. And if anyone tried to approach, they were shot. That's why there was an article called 3 Ears of Grain or 5 Years of Grain. That was the name of the article. The article was a legal article in the criminal code for which people were executed. Is that clear? So that you wouldn't walk through the fields, rummage around, or take anything. This is also a system of hunger when hunger is artificially imposed on people. When people are deprived of the opportunity to work, with collective farms being shut down, land taken away, and people sent to factories that, honestly, who knows what they were producing, right? And only hunger and hunger and hunger. This is the main thing that drives the people. This is the main whip with which you can control all the peoples of the world. All of them. Yes. There goes your courage too. Soon we'll be going into battle. Or we'll bravely go into battle. And so, go for the power of the Soviets. Yes, all of this will happen again soon. You won't be able to escape it. But there's no point in blaming Putin. To scold him and say he's this or that. In what way is he this or that? He was ordered, he did it. The banks, that they took out their money, but how can you blame them? It's their money. Banks have never belonged to the people. Deposits have never belonged to the people. Do you really think all that money you put in the banks is yours? No, it's their money. You deposited it with them, you gave them your money. It's their money. All banks are private, all of them. All land is private, but not yours. And it never was yours. Every piece of land has its own owner. There was a saying like that, remember, I read it in history. Now, probably there are no such sayings in history. The vassal of my vassal is not my vassal. That is, there is one Lord at the top, and everything else, everything that happens below under him doesn't matter at all to the Supreme One. And the fact that today, for you, money, real money has been imitated, and power has been imitated, and currency has been imitated, and there is no real money. Real money, all the gold, has gone somewhere. It is hidden, taken away, and basically, it never stays anywhere. If they tell you about some of our miracle workers who supposedly create the right version of history, like, for example, there was this one, I'm not sure, maybe he was an academician, Solovyov, right? He had several volumes of Russian history. It never existed. It was all lies and falsehoods. They just wrote it. And they gave a single author's name, Solovyov. After all, Solovyov is a bird surname. Bird surnames are recent surnames. Modern, not old ones. So, you can also understand what was written for you by looking at the surnames. But people don't want to study things like that. Look, we had the Tsarist era, the era of imperialism. Then suddenly in Switzerland, Calvinism emerged, right? This is a fairly well-known movement, all the Swiss know it, and the doctrine of fundamental changeability was introduced. They called it the modern era, and there were already revolutions. Everything was different because it was Calvinism, right? Because there shouldn't be any entertainment, no theaters, nothing at all. That's why there are no theaters or entertainment in Switzerland. And if there are, they're at such a poor level. You definitely wouldn't want to watch them. I went for a while, tried it, but it's just not interesting. But it's not interesting to us. We kind of developed in a different country. We can say whether it was good or bad. We can praise ourselves. But in the end, we don't know the paradox from which our very lives are truly made. It is also incredibly frightening and so deeply cynical that of course we can still find a way to praise someone. But we don't know a single document. We have nothing. All we have are boasts and postulates. What else do we have? You might not even believe in paintings now. Paintings, they're all fakes. And all this is just talk. Especially new paintings that have appeared over the last 25 years. I am Tanya Karatsuba, Siv Burkan, January 10th, 2026. Have a good mood, have a good day.